This war represents a failure to listen.
Release your anger. Only your hatred can destroy me.
Something terrible has happened.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Anger, fear, aggression. The dark side of the Force I obey.
Let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
No, you're still holding on! Let go!
Biggest problem in this universe is nobody helps each other.
That's how we're gonna win. Not fighting what we hate. Saving what we love.
Hello, welcome to Who Shot First, a Star Wars controversy podcast. I'm your host, Alex.
And I'm special correspondent, Sarah.
And today we are talking about the controversies involving Ewoks, a much lighter topic than we have in the past couple weeks. So we are going to be talking about the split in the fandom that was developed from Return of the Jedi, and where the controversy itself stems from there are two sides to the camp, and the basic thought process is one side does not like the Ewoks and think they are useless and not good to the movie, and the other side that says they are amazing and make total sense. Basic brass tacks, the side that doesn't like them thinks they were a market to children, and the side that loves them think that they're just amazing cuddly bears. So today I will be taking the side of they're amazing.
And I will be taking the side that they are not. Full disclosure, I do like the Ewoks, but in reading the research on the Ewoks, I can definitely see and appreciate the other side. So I'm going to give Alex a break from being the Debbie Downer on the show, and I will talk about why Ewoks are not all that in a bag of chips.
All right. I'm excited for this little debate that we're going to have.
Yeah, where would you like to start? Kick us off.
Tell me why Ewoks. Kick us off?
Yeah, tell me why Ewoks are good.
Because they're just amazing. They're so lovable, and I can't even really say how amazing they are, because they're just amazing. Yes, they might be designed for children, but literally Star Wars is for children, as the biggest argument that we've had ever. Like, everyone struggles with that, but like, it is designed for children. But to me, they're not too cute. They're not, they make total sense. So, yeah, I think it's going to actually probably be better if you coming up with things you don't like and me defending them.
Oh, so you want me to...
Yes.
Okay.
So what do you have as a negative?
Well, I will say that I don't think they make a lot of sense. Just looking at the original trilogy, so the kind of the arc of the original trilogy, this is our climax, this is our end, and we start off with the stakes pretty high because Han is still frozen in carbonite and has been captured by Boba Fett, and Luke was bested by Vader at the end of Empire, so the stakes are high going into Return of the Jedi, and I think that the opening scene on the sail barge with Jabba kind of plays up to that. There's high stakes, there's action, the pacing is a bit more intense. And then as we were trying to again then build up to our climax and the battle of the second Death Star, the pacing for me with the Ewoks is just so out of place because they're just kind of lumbering teddy bears, like out on their picnic, and they don't seem to have the urgency that the rebels do on Endor to take down the Death Star. When we shift back and forth between, Lando on the Falcon with the air support, and then all of the stuff with Luke and Vader, like we can feel the tension, we can feel the importance and the weight of it, and then when we go back to Endor, it's like Han and Leia are trying to get the Ewoks to move it along, and they're just kind of like, la da 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 da. And it's kind of takes you out of the movie a little bit.
Really? Because I will say I disagree. Because to me that makes sense so maybe I will grant the point of maybe the pacing might be a little off. But looking at the movie itself, it makes sense that they are there because they send in the rebels with this strike team woefully unprepared. Like, they do not have anything to take on the Empire. Like, it's a small little team, and you're like, how are they supposed to take down the shield generator with, what is it, I think like 20 guys at most? So you have to have them meet the locals who are unhappy with the Empire and unhappy with their occupation, And so they then side with the rebels. But yes, you do have to take that time for them to understand and get to know the rebels. Because again, they don't know that they're any different than the Empire. They don't know
it's just these foreigners coming.
These foreigners, so you have to figure out who we are and what we're doing and what we're trying to do. So to me, that makes sense. I will say that yes, there's a little more tension, but to me it makes sense that they are not in an urgency because they're primitive enough that they don't understand that there's a Death Star up above them. Like they're just focusing on what's around them, and they're like, we don't like these people here, but we don't know you, and so like, we don't know that this Death Star is going to blow us up when it's finished. So there's no urgency for them, which makes sense. And so Luke and Leia and Han are trying to motivate them to go quicker, and to me that personally adds tension to it, and that adds the tension of like they're trying to figure this out, they're trying to go quickly. The tension to me is removed when Han and Leia in particular are kind of like they are relaxing, like we just see Leia pop up in a dress with her hair all down and everything, and you're just like, oh, what's she been doing, this like just chilling? But anyway, I can see your argument, but again, yeah, I still just love them.
Fair. I think the issue also is that were the Ewoks the best choice for the Rebel Alliance to be partnered with? From a storytelling perspective, I like that the Rebel Alliance taps into the occupied population and to get them to rally the forces. But I know it's fairly common knowledge that at one point Lucas had originally written it or wrote it so that it was Wookiees and not Ewoks. Which I think to me would have made more sense because we would have gotten that connection with Chewbacca. I think you could have moved the plot along because there could have been some tension, when Luke and Leia and Han landed and they're just like, who are you? You're the same as before. But then you have Chewbacca building the bridge. And I think you could have had some really nice moments there without the awkward, like, but don't eat them. They're my friends. And the whole C-3PO being a god. Like, he needs more of an ego, right? And so I think storytelling wise, it would have enriched it more for it to have been Wookiees versus Ewoks.
Okay, I very much disagree.
Okay.
And I will say this is all based off of like hindsight and so all of this is hindsight, but to me it would not have done anything. To me it would have not been as good because you have Chewbacca who's up in space flying around doing all this like really powerful, like a very intelligent alien species. And then you have him coming, if you had him come to like Kashyyyk, say it was on Kashyyyk and they were Wookiees, like you're gonna dumb down the race of aliens? Because if they are as smart as Chewbacca or all that, like they would have overthrown the Empire without them, without the rebels, in my opinion. And also to me, that another piece of that is the reason why the Ewoks work is because the Empire underestimates them so much. Because if it's giant Wookiees that are out there, the Empire is going to be like, we have to go take care of them. We have to take care of this populace and either enslave them, kill them, whatever we have to do. But with it being the Ewoks, they're small. They're teddy bear-like, which a lot of people don't like, but I'm like, they're teddy bear-like, so if you see them from a distance, you're just like, oh, it's a teddy bear. Like, we have a blaster, they have little sticks. Like, it's no big deal. Mm-hmm. It is not a big, not human, but giant Wookiee. Like, they're bigger than humans. So they have to, like, you have to, and they're stronger than humans. And so you would have to take care of that. Like, there are clans of these people out there, and we have to either put them down or, that's a poor choice of words, but we have to either kill them or like enslave them, which they did enslave them. But again, it just, to me, it makes more sense that they are not Wookiees, and I think that was a good decision of not having them in there. And again, I will say that I think it was a poor decision to have them in Revenge of the Sith, because that was the only reason they were in there, is because they were originally supposed to be in there and they weren't. But neither here nor there.
I was going to say that's a different debate.
Like, because they are so small And like that's why it works. Of like when the rebels are trying to take the base from behind, like at the back door. Like if a Wookiee jumped onto a speeder and flew away, there would be more like, oh, we got to call this in. We got to make sure like they're coming to take for it. Versus like it's a little teddy bear. Like, oh, it's a little, like basically they didn't view them as people, which again, this is what the Empire does. They're anti-alien. And so they're just like, oh, they're just another small animal. And they don't view them as necessarily a people and stuff like that. So to me, that adds the element of they are underestimated. And that is the point.
But it's just also so counter to what we see of the Empire. Like, you know, the Empire likes to dot the I's and cross the T's. And so for them to not care about this species, it is like, it cheapens the strength and the might of the Empire.
Okay. How do you get that?
So we're just going to look at the original trilogy here.
Yes.
Because I don't want to conflate.
Don't.
So, but even in the first two movies of the trilogy, you have the Empire being thorough. They go door to door on Tatooine. They destroy all of the Jawas. They're very thorough. And to me, don't underestimate. And so then now all of a sudden we're going to underestimate this population. Why? Like, it's plot device. It's sloppy writing that we're going to underestimate this one group of people, whereas we've shown in Star Wars lore up to Return of the Jedi that the Empire is meticulous and thorough and will do what needs to be done to get the job done. And they can be cold and calculating while doing it. So to me, it makes no sense why they get soft for the teddy bears.
See, I don't think that they've been cold and I know they're cold and calculating, but again, I don't see where you have seen like that they are completely, they dot the I's and dot the T's. To me, they don't.
I mean, they took out all of the Jawas connected to C-3PO and R2. They totally destroyed the Lars homestead. They didn't need to burn everything down, but they did.
Correct. That's cold and calculating. I totally get that.
Right. So why not enslave the Ewoks like you were talking about the Wookiees? Just to be safe, enslave them and make them part of the base.
Because what use are they, and how? And also, I will just say, like, they're a small being. We don't actually know where the Ewoks are in relation to this base. We don't, like, it could be a ways away. We don't know how they're traveling. Like, if they don't want to be found, I don't think they're found. That's, like, again, like, they know the planet. They know how to stay hidden. Like, yes, they do have things up in the trees and stuff like that, but like we don't know where that house is. That could be like kilometers away. That could be, and again, the Empire, to me that also shows that the Empire is getting too big. It's like, yes, they can be dotting the I's and dotting the T's, but also the first episode is episode 1. They don't dot the I's. They don't blow up the escape pod. They blow up that escape pod. The whole series is over. But they just decide, nope, just no life forms aboard, just let it go. And that's what starts the whole thing. So that's where I will say, I think that, yes, you could question, like, why they didn't, but I see enough wiggle room of, like, they don't need to. They're just there to shoulder those, and it might take, I will say, like, again, it might take too much work to enslave the Ewoks, because, again, they're small. They might not do enough. And again, to me, that's what the Empire is always underestimating aliens. Mm-hmm. And that's like again, they don't view them as equal. So they're like, oh, you're not equal, and so you're not a threat. So why would we bother with you? Mm. That's why it's like with the Ewoks, to me, or with the Wookiees, it would be, you're a threat. We have to take care of you. Versus if it's Ewoks, they're little teddy bears. You're just like, okay, it's a teddy bear, and we're better than that. And we have blasters, so we don't need to go in and enslave this one troop. Because again, it was one troop of Ewoks. Like, we don't know how many are on the planet, and again, they're not there. Yes, I'm sure they've been there for a while, but like, they're not planning to stay there the whole time. Like, for a long period of time. They're staying there to build the Empire, the Death Star, and then that's it. That's my feelings on that.
Fair. One of the things that you brought to my attention is part of the research for this. Mm-hmm. There's an article from IndieWire titled "How Return of the Jedi Ruined Star Wars Forever." So Gotta love that name. But originally, the indigenous race on Endor was originally conceived as a slithery band of reptilian lizard creatures who would have served the story well. The evil empire being brought down by something equally scary and slimy, but fundamentally misunderstood. And then, the article goes on that Lucas got skittish and went for something cute and cuddly. So, I mean, I think, I can understand why no Wookiees. And so I guess some of those arguments that you made with the Wookiees would be applicable. Again, we don't know what these slithery, slimy reptilian creatures would look like, but there's some understanding that they're at least going to look scary or appear ferocious.
Yep.
So it to your point, the Empire would have taken precautions to enslave them or wipe them out or do something along those lines. To me, I would have appreciated the reptiles more than the Ewoks. Again, because it's just, don't judge a book by its cover. And so these creatures may look scary. They may look big and bad and ferocious, but they are good. And so you're kind of flipping that narrative, whereas the Ewoks kind of perpetuates the Hollywood trope that good people look good and bad people look bad. So it's like the teddy bears are good, but the snake reptile things are bad. And so it would have flipped that on its head a little bit.
Yes, I think you're expecting a little too much from...
I know, 1983 movie. Yeah.
83?
1983, yeah. Did I say 90? I thought I said 80. Anyway, I apologize.
1983 movie, but no.
Yeah.
but yes, and again, this is with hindsight, so,
yeah.
But yes. The trope that you went with, yes, I will say, but again, I will say it does do the good people look good and bad people look bad. That is Star Wars, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. At the moment, or at this time in the original trilogy, but where I say he did go differently is you cannot judge a book by a cover, because yes, they look like little teddy bears, but they are ferocious little things. They eat people. People talk about how they're so kid friendly, but I'm like, they're also secretly super dark, because you have to ask, where did they get that dress for Leia? They ate someone. They didn't just make that dress for her.
It kind of looks hand sewn. It's a bunch of fabric pieces patched together.
It does not.
I think it looks like fabric pieces patched together.
They ate someone for that dress. That dress is somebody's that they ate. Also, in an article that I found, according to Wired, they are fully tactical animals or people, like a race. They run straight into the teeth of stormtroopers, spitting lightning and fire from their guns without a second thought. When their arrows prove ineffective, they close to hand range and start beating stormtroopers to death with rocks. They only retreat in the face of overwhelming force, and even then, they are leading the invaders into ambushes. So they have all this tactical information, and they are showing us that, yes, they're cute and cuddly, but they are vicious. And they know how to protect themselves. And they know how to fight. And to me, that's just really cool about them. And you're just like, yeah, I guess they're cute and cuddly, but they're still willing to fight and battle and, yes, even die to help their friends. Because they have no stakes in the Battle of Endor. They don't know what they're fighting for. They just know that they're fighting. Because, again, they're not there to overthrow the Empire. They don't know enough. They're just like, these are some invading people, and we don't know what they are. They're there to protect Han, Chewie, and Leia, because they became part of the tribe the night before. So Wicket runs off and tells the tribe that members of the tribe are in trouble, and the whole tribe shows up. That's fantastic, and to me, that's a message that it needs to be brought of they're there not to overthrow the Empire. That's where it gets small. I like Star Wars getting smaller. Instead of the big world, this is galaxy ending and stuff like that. If you look at the Ewoks, they are there just because Leia, Han, and Chewie are in trouble. And their god is in trouble, I guess, too. But, because that group is in trouble, they're like, we are here. Because we have to protect them, because they are part of the tribe. And so I actually just came up, just realized that as I'm having this conversation. And so this is why I love the podcast, because you dive deeper. But yeah, that's amazing to me. That's awesome in my mind.
You don't think it's unrealistic that, putting the teddy bear factor aside, that the Empire can be taken out with sticks and stones? It makes a mockery of the Empire and the might that we've seen witnessed in the first two movies of the trilogy, that, they have the machines and the firepower and the people, because they have the people. They've shown that they've brought in the reinforcements to see out this final phase of constructing the Death Star. And that, the storm, I mean, I guess you take a rock to anybody, they're going to get hurt, right? But so many troopers fall to the sticks and stones, and that these giant war machines can be taken out with sticks and stones as well. I don't like it.
Okay. See, I do like it. There are certain lines of dialogue that make it poor. I will say that. Like when the Empire states, or when the Emperor is in the throne room and says, like, I have an entire legion of my best troops. And you're like, that is, I will say, like, yes, that kind of degrades the Empire. Of like, these are his best troops, and they can't take care of it. To me, it would have been better if he was just like, I have an entire legion of troops. So it's not his best troops, so it could just be troops. But to go along with that point, again, I think it's the underestimation. To me, it's taking the Empire completely by surprise as well. Because, again, they didn't know the Ewoks were there. The Legion was there to take out the rebels. They had this force and they come after all of these. So it's the hecticness of the situation of just being ambushed. Like, even the best people in those kinds of times are going to have problems. But like, to be completely ambushed by these random things that you did not anticipate were any good at anything or worth anything, and you let them go, and so then they come back and get you. I thought that's fascinating. It also leads with a theme that George specifically states in the Return of the Jedi DVD commentary, that the Ewoks were created as to reflect a theme of returning to nature and primitive creatures triumphing over the Empire's technological hubris. So again, the Empire thinks that they have technology and they think that's going to save them and that's what's best. But using tactical planning, because I will say that, like, people will, I know you haven't brought it up yet, but people who don't like the Ewoks are like, well, how do they set up all of these traps and everything? And I'm like, they weren't set up just for this. They have these setups because the Empire is there and they know what the Empire has. And so they're like, we have these traps that are, I'm sure they set them up from the beginning of when the Empire moved in, of like, we know. And then they brought the Empire to those places and to those things. It was not like they were right there and they just dropped them all off. It was, they again ran into the fire and then ran back and retreated, but then led the stormtroopers to them because, again, underestimation of the stormtroopers are like, okay, they're running away, we're beating them, let's just go get them. So I personally like it. I can understand that people don't like the oh my gosh, it's technology. But again, we're getting more. I think a piece of that is we're now getting into more technology and we're more looking at things in society of technological, and you're like, well, that didn't happen and that wouldn't happen. I'm like, yeah, it wouldn't happen. It's a movie, first of all. Like, it's a movie. And like, this was the first battle. Like, this happened. Like, Native Americans destroyed settlers when they came the first time. But like, eventually technology wins, yes. But when you don't know what you're fighting, it doesn't. And so the people who are there and know the land are going to know better than you. And so they have an instant tactical advantage. If the Empire stayed or came back, they could probably easily wipe out the Ewoks because they know what they're doing. But when they're just, we don't know what's happening, they don't know. It's again, the underestimation and the like, we have no idea what's happening right now. Also, I will say that the Ewoks' involvement as well, like, brings forth, and this is from bleedingcool.com movies, but it shows you that the rebellion is different than the Empire. So according to them, it says the Ewoks' involvement is the best evidence we have that the rebellion is fundamentally different in character from its enemy, and that they might offer a more inclusive government for the galaxy. Yes, they look like teddy bears, and so made for perfect playthings. So what? The reason the Ewoks made for great toys is that they are great characters. They consist of a variety of different individuals that looked different and have different personalities. They are actual characters in Return of the Jedi and had a life beyond the movie. The Ewok made-for-TV spin-offs, Caravan of Courage, An Ewok Adventure, and Ewoks Battle for Endor, as well as the cartoon series, aren't great, but they were produced because the Ewoks had enough multitudinous identity for further storytelling. and sure, the ability to be exploited for more toys, but that's not everything.
I was going to say, you brought up the toy piece, so is that where we're going to
I did bring up the toy piece because that is the thing, but we can go there, yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's multiple articles that will get linked in the show notes that, you know, Lucas had thought about the Wookiees. Lucas thought about the reptiles. Lucas thought about other big bad things, but at the end of the day went with the Ewoks because of the toy marketing power and the money that there is there. It cheapens it and it takes you out of the movie to know, like, yeah, this was a marketing decision. This was a toy decision. Because, you know, yeah, to your point, sure, they're individual characters, yada, yada, yada. But I think the cuteness factor has to play a part of it. That would we go this hard for them? Would they have had their own spin-offs? Were they not essentially teddy bears? And I think that answer is no. And so to me, it's frustrating that you're making these decisions around the toys and around the marketing. You should be telling the story for the sake of telling the story and not the toys.
True, and I would probably agree with that. But to me, that's a George Lucas issue. And so, and I'm not to like, I don't want to say like I'm diminishing that, but like to me, like the whole movie would have been different if it wasn't for George, because like there's a producer said that like the whole movie ends, like the original draft, it ends with Luke walking off into the sunset. It ends with indecision. It is not a happy ending. And Lucas decided to change that and make it happy. That producer thought it was a better movie when it wasn't with the happy ending. And I could probably see the problem, like maybe it was, but that's not what we have. I understand the frustration of marketing and everything, but that's also, which I think stinks, that is the society we live in. That is a capitalist society that we live in. If you can make more money, you're going to make more money. You're going to make that decision. Nobody is going to be like, let's not make money because the story is better. Not nobody. There are people who do it, and I support those people and want to support them, but it's unfortunately not, especially in today's society. So back in 1984, maybe it was 83, maybe it was a little different. But now, especially now, it's all about the dollar.
I mean, you also just have to look at the power of the toys and the marketing, because it's both Ewoks and Emperor Palpatine. Those names are not dropped anywhere in Return of the Jedi, but people knew those names. And so, I mean, that all has to come from toys and marketing. You shouldn't have to look outside the movies to understand the movies. So, you know, I think it's a fine movie that you just know that it's the Emperor, and that's big, bad, and scary, and it makes sense. You know, Palpatine is a fun bit of knowledge, but honestly, it would have given you better reveals in the prequel trilogy if it was just the Emperor.
Yep.
And, you know, it's lost because the marketing chose Emperor Palpatine.
Correct. I will push back a little here and say, so what do you have to say about, because this is my one thing of like, everyone says that the Ewoks are just marketing, but Star Wars has always been about toys. Like, they sold literally an empty box to kids for the original Star Wars trilogy because they didn't have the toys made. And they said, here, we'll mail this to you, but buy the box. And it sold out massively. So that's where the toy idea came from. But like, that's where I struggle with just like, oh, they're just toys. They're just marketing. I'm like, yeah, everything in Star Wars was toys and marketing after the first one.
That's fair. But I would say that it is just so much more blatant in Return of the Jedi than it is in the other two. Because A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, yes, there's things marketed there, but if there were decisions that Lucas or the team made in the movie to have better marketing or better toy value or whatever, it's not as obvious as let's put something cute and cuddly that people are going to want a doll of. You know, to me, this just totally brings back Grogu and like how everyone wanted a toy as soon as we saw it on the screen. But again,
don't be bashing Grogu here.
Oh, I'm not.
Okay.
If I'm bashing anybody, it's why weren't those toys out there?
Correct. Okay.
Christmas of that year, we all had the, you know, pre-order slips in our stockings and packages because the toys weren't out there, because they focused on the stories and the characters and wanting that anticipation rather than, hey, we've got something cute, let's market the heck out of it.
And there's the leaks in the toy department.
Right.
Yeah. But they were focusing on the story and knew they were going to make... Because to me,
right, so to me that's done well, because now you can get whatever you want with Grogu on it, and right. I love it. But you didn't sacrifice the story, you didn't sacrifice the surprise. You let us get to know Grogu and his significance before all of the toys came out. And so to me that's what makes it so powerful. And so it's like, yes, he's a cute baby, but he's also so much more than that. And I wasn't alive in 1983. I don't know chicken and the egg situation, but I can definitely see, like, if you just see the toys and the cuteness on the shelf and you get attached to that, you're going to project, I like these things and they're cute and I love them before you even see the movie, to know, like, okay, are they actually good fighters? Do they actually contribute to the story? So Grogu's an example of what should have happened but didn't. If it was all about the money, they probably would have let it leak, because then they would have made so much more than I think they did that initial Christmas.
Correct. Because with that, I think they didn't... I don't think... There's a lot of people that think that they lost a ton of money on it. I don't think they lost money on it. I think they just didn't get the money when they could have.
Yeah, and like,
they just put it off.
Yeah, so some economics junkie is going to have to... Or expert, not junkie.
Expert.
Yeah, an economics expert is going to have to tell us...
show and tell us how...
Yeah, how
we are, or how much money they lost, or they did lose money, or they didn't, or whatever.
Yeah, the pre-sales versus, product in hand, and...
Right. Okay.
Is there anything else you want to chat about the Ewoks?
I mean, I think I put forth my case of everything except that they're cute and cuddly. But
you did say cute teddy bears a couple of
I did, but times. I'm just like, they're cute teddy bears, but like I was saying it in spite of that, but I mean, like, they're cute teddy bears. I mean, they're amazing. Like, and who... If you don't cry when that one Ewok dies, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, that was the one article said that people cheered in screenings.
I don't believe that for a second, because if you do, like, you don't. I don't know. I'm not going to say you don't have a soul, but like,
yeah, that's a pretty big statement.
That's a big statement. But like, I cry almost every single time, because again, John Williams. Phenomenal, like, sets the tone of, like, something's coming, like, nah, and you're like, oh man, this is where it's all coming, and then they both fall, and then one of them gets up, and he's just like, you're just like, okay, let's go, and you're like, oh, okay, good, and then the other one doesn't, and you're just like, no. I'm like, I feel for that. Oh, I feel that every time. And like, yes, it's the only Ewok we see that gets killed.
Right, and I know that some of the criticisms is it's, we see a lot of the Empire machinery taken down. We see at the end the line of stormtrooper helmets as they sing their little nub nub song. And so it's like, it's implied that a lot of Imperial troops died that day, but we only see one Ewok die. And it's also just kind of weird that, okay, so let's assume more than one died.
Many more than one died, yep.
But like, that they're instead celebrating the victory over mourning the losses, and with such the jubilation of the bonfires and the singing versus the mourning. To me, it's weird.
I disagree. I think it's a travesty that was removed. That is one of the greatest endings of a movie ever, in my opinion. Because to me, it's celebration of winning. It's you honor, because again,
you're honoring the sacrifices.
You honoring the sacrifice, and you're like, we are alive, we can celebrate, and so like, yeah, maybe it was a little overdone, but again, like, it's a movie, people. That again, like,
but like, also, as you said, like, the Ewoks were just in it because we want these invaders off the planet. So it's like, to me, it's the scale of the celebration is the whole galactic
correct
level, and so it's just like,
it's not galactic. Oh, you're talking about that. I'm talking about the original Yub Nub song.
No, but I am. But
galactic celebration. It's just them having a good time, in my opinion.
Yes. No, and it is hard to
differentiate, because no, it's so hard now, because but to me, that's also a piece of it, is that the rebels came down to celebrate with them. So like, to me, it's also like the
true, yeah,
the
because
whole
Lando
alliance
comes down.
is there basically. Yeah. And like we don't see them, but we see like Wedge, and so Wedge is down.
Yeah,
and
we see
Lando
Nine
comes
Nub, and we see
and,
Lando,
they come down. So it's like we know that they are there, and so like to me that's where it gets bigger of like this big celebration.
Mm-hmm.
The fireworks from the
X-Wings
I think are a little ridiculous. I will fully acknowledge that.
I'll be snarky and say that's the one piece I like about the Ewoks.
Is it?
Is the X-Wing fireworks.
Okay. I mean, yeah, they're just cute little teddy bears. They're amazing. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm going to leave you all with the teddy bear, the Ewok line that's hypothesized from How I Met Your Mother, and we will clip it in now, but it is, if you are older than 10 years old when it came out, you don't like them. But if you're born after that, you love them because they're amazing. I don't agree with the ending hypothesis, but they're just amazing. I love them. And we all need to lighten up a little bit.
Right. At the end of the day, we need to celebrate the victory of the rebels.
Yes. So, thank you very much for coming on the show, Sarah.
I'm happy to be here, and I also want to say congratulations on 1 year of podcasting.
That's right. It is our 1 year anniversary, and I guess I can say it now. We are now going to be shifting our podcast because I am starting up school at I don't know, you guys probably don't know this, but I'm a teacher. So I am starting up school, and so we are going to be bringing down our podcast output. Is due to me going back to school, but also we're going to be diving a bit deeper into some more tough topics. Our next topic that we will be talking about and hopefully dropping an episode in October about will be the marketing for Finn for the
Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens. So we are going to be dropping to one episode a month for a little while. We'll see how that goes because we want to get our podcast right. We want to get all the information in, set it up and everything and make sure it's the best and see if we can get some guests and stuff like that on. So this will be our last bi-weekly episode for a while, but we hope to get back to it. Thank you for your support and everything that you guys have shown. And thank you, Sarah, for coming on. And thank you for, wishing us a happy year. And we, if you want to contact us, you can find us on Facebook or Twitter. Twitter, we're at WhoShot1SWPod, or you can send us an email at WhoShotFirstSWPod@gmail.com. And that's about it. So from all of us here at Who Shot First,
never tell us the odds.
Never tell us the odds.
Never tell me the odds.
People are counting on us. The galaxy is counting on us. Solo, we'll figure it out. We'll use the Force. That's not how the Force works. Oh, really? You're cold?